When I discovered the idea of continuous learning, I thought it was a miracle. I came from a poor home. We never had any money. When I left school, I did not graduate. My first job was washing dishes in the back of a small hotel, and when I lost that job, I got a job washing cars in the wintertime. You know what that's like. When I lost that job, I got a job washing floors with a janitorial service, and I thought washing was in my future. So I traveled and I worked on farms. I worked in construction. I worked at laboring jobs. I worked on digging wells. I worked in factories, stacking lumber. I worked on a ship in the North Atlantic. I worked at laboring jobs until I was 23 years old. And when I could no longer get a laboring job, like many people here, I got a job in sales. And in sales, I was a complete failure because I had no training. So for 6 months, I worked and worked and worked, and I was making no success at all. I say starting off in sales with no skills is a wonderful weight loss program, because if you don't sell, you don't eat. And I lost a lot of weight in those 6 months. Well, this whole thing about finding your passion is motivational claptrap. The way that you find your passion is whatever job you have to do, throw your whole heart into it. And this has been discovered for centuries. Throw your whole heart into what you're doing, and you'll find out very quickly if this is the right work for you. If it's not, you won't get any excitement or happiness from it. Something will change. Many people don't realize that until you throw your whole heart into something, you don't get anything back. And so what they do is they say, well, I'll try this and see if it works. And if it does, I read this wonderful line 2 weeks ago. Every so often I come across a great line. It said, this work is never fun until you're good at it. And so when you begin at a job, it may take you a year or two of hard work to become good at what you're doing. Then it becomes fun, then it becomes your passion. And maybe we say, oh, find my passion, find my passion. No, do your job right. Well, do it really well and get really good at it. And if when you're really good at it, if you still don't enjoy it, then look for something else. Tap your creative potential. Accept the fact that every single human being is a genius, and all successful men and women are creative. They're creative in that they respond to their world differently. They ask questions. They're flexible. They're curious. You know what the hallmark of creativity is? Curiosity. The hallmark of ignorance and stupidity is the cessation or stopping from asking questions. I've worked with some of the brightest men and women in this nation, and I find that the smartest people of all, the ones that have the greatest education and the most experience, are the ones who ask the most questions. They ask questions almost as if they were children, but they never stop asking questions. They're very open and flexible, and they have the ability, once they learn a new piece of information, to drop what they're doing if the new information contradicts it and do something else. You know what most people do? Most people keep on doing what they're doing until they run to a wall, as they say. The more you do what you're doing, the more you'll get of what you've got. Someone reported out to me not long ago, and I think it's very true, is that all changes in our life come with the input of new information. That if we do not have new information, we keep on doing the same thing forever as a result of inertia. And creative people are always looking for faster, better, easier, cheaper, newer ways to do things. Remember, 80% of everything that we are doing today and are doing today in our general business will be different 5 years from now. 80% of the products that we use, the food that we eat, the cars we drive, the music we listen to, the movies we go to, even the streets we drive on, 80% of everything will be new in 5 years. That's how rapidly things are changing. Warren Buffett spends 80% of his time studying every day, and he's one of the richest people in the history of the world because he keeps learning new things. When I came across continuous learning, almost like tripping over something in the dark, I couldn't believe it. What it said was that you can learn anything you need to learn to achieve any goal you can set for yourself. There are no limitations on what you could learn. You have more potential than that you could use in 100 lifetimes. You can learn anything. This, to me, was the greatest of all discoveries. There are no limits on the kind of life you can have because you can learn anything you need to learn as long as you continuously learn new things. And what's the magic formula? 10 hours a week, read a little bit each day in your field. Listen to audio programs when you travel around. Go to seminars and take notes, as I said. Write down actions that you can take immediately afterwards. And just dedicate your life to becoming a student for the rest of your life. Every day you should be learning something new. Learning should be as much a part of your life as eating, sleeping, and breathing. And if you'll do that, you start to go up the ladder of success faster and faster. You feel happier and happier. People respect you and look up to you. You feel that you have more energy and your self-esteem goes up. Your self-image improves and you get it all from continuous learning, which is why these people go from the bottom to the top, and they're very happy people. They're very highly respected and they feel wonderful about themselves because growing and becoming better in your field is one of the most happiest and wonderful things you can do. Here are the keys to continuous learning. First of all, read 60 minutes a day. I will say this over and over again. 60 minutes per day over the course of a year, 2 years, 3 years will make you one of the top people in your field. Listen to audio cassettes in your car. Listen to audio cassettes. Here's what most people don't realize. They don't realize that they are not on vacation when they're in their car. If they're traveling between calls and between clients or between customers, they're not on vacation when they get into their car. They're still working, and the worst thing you can do is turn your mind off and park it and listen to something that's chewing gum through the ears. What you do when you're driving is you learn at the same time. Listen to audio programs in your car. Turn your car into a mobile classroom. Turn your car into a university on wheels. Now, a study at the University of California, USC, concluded that if you listen to educational audio programs in your car as you drive around instead of listening to music, which we call chewing gum for the ears, if you listen to audio programs, you'll get the equivalent of almost full-time university attendance, except for one small point. When you go to the university, people have graduated from universities that I eventually did find that about 90 or 95% of what they teach you is not practical. It's theoretical. It's true. It's enjoyable, but it's useless in the real world. However, when you select educational audio programs on sales, communication, time management, goal setting for yourself, which you can stop and start if you like, you only select things that are valuable to you in the moment. So you get even more than a university education by turning your car into a classroom on wheels. You turn your car into a mobile learning machine. Human beings are very much like they have what is called a cybernetic guidance mechanism. Like a guided missile is fired at the target, and even if the target moves, the missile takes feedback and adjusts its course and hits the target. You have a cybernetic mechanism where you are learning. You are a learning machine. The more activities you engage in, the faster you learn, and pretty soon you become so smart that you can hit the target almost every time. You can learn new skills, but it's like a car. You cannot change a car's engine by changing the paint on the outside. You can learn new skills if you're ambitious and positive and you want to be more successful. And you're eager to learn and apply new ideas. There's no limit to what you can do. But your basic personality, that's like your eye color. It's like your height. It's even like your sex. You cannot change these. These are basic parts that are programmed into your personality. So don't try to change people. If people are lazy when they're young, they'll be lazy 50 years later. If people are dishonest, they'll be dishonest. If people are unorganized, they'll be disorganized. However, if they have good qualities, good ambitions, you can teach them all kinds of skills. Skills are very different from personality. Did you ever wonder why it is that some people make far more money than other people? You know, we live in the most remarkable society in the world, where some people can be making 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 times as much as another person doing the same job. Many times we see salespeople who are making 10 times as much as a person next to them in the next desk, selling the same product to the same product under the same price, under the same competitive circumstances. Why does this happen? Well, about 30 years ago, as you know, I began studying and looking for the reasons for success and failure. And one of the things that I found is that there are formulas. There are specific methods applied and used by very successful people. And if you use the same methods, law of cause and effect, you start to get the same result. And the more I study it, the more I realize this is that everybody who's at the front of the line once started at the back of the line. But everybody who's doing well was once doing poorly. That everybody who was first was once last. How did they get to be first? And it's very simple. It is called the law of incremental improvement, the law of continuous improvement. It's a very simple thing. You see, most of us with no education, no knowledge, no skills, we go to school, we learn how to read and write, and so on. We start our jobs, and in our careers, we have the knowledge. We have no skills. Each time we start something new, we have to go back to the back of the line. Why do some people get to the front of the line? It's very simple, because they learn the things that the other people learn. Another one, it is really the way that every single person has gone from nothing to being successful, is continuous learning. Continuous learning, I believe, is the most important single key to success. It's what makes America the greatest country in the world. Why? It's because you could come here with nothing. And by simply focusing clearly on what you want and then finding out who else has gotten the same things you want and then learning from what they did and doing the same things over and over again, you'll eventually get the same result. In fact, the rule today is that continuous learning is the minimum requirement for success in a new field. Whatever field you're in today, if you do not engage in continuous learning the same way you brush your teeth every day, you take a shower every day, you take a shower every day, if you don't engage in continuous learning every day, what will happen is that you'll be passed by the people who do. In America today, an incredible shift has taken place. The shift is between those who know more and those who know less. We no longer live in a physical economy. We live in a mental economy. We live in an economy where brain power is the critical tool for earning a great living, and continuous learning is the only way to continue building your brain power. Attend every seminar possible. Attend every seminar possible. Get all the training you can. And of course, listen at every opportunity. You'll learn more in a few weeks watching this network than you might learn in years trying to pick it up by yourself. There's a rule that your television can make you rich, or it can make you poor. It can make you rich if you turn it off, and it's made you poor if you turn it on. Years of research, this is my subject, shows that the more you watch television, the lower your income. Unless you watch television, the higher your income. And it's always a choice you make anyway. So 2 hours a night would work out to about a book a week plus other things. And then during the day, practice the things you learn. And pretty soon, you move on to the fast track. Pretty soon, you start to move ahead of everybody else in your career. Pretty soon, you start to become much more valuable. Your earning ability goes up. So I want you to think of a ladder of success and imagine a ladder, and each rung on the ladder is a new skill. The rule is you cannot achieve a new goal without learning a new skill. In business, so each one is a new skill. Each time you master a skill, you move up the ladder and your income goes up. And then you learn a new skill, and this is what they would do is they would work for a month or 3 months or a year, however long it took to become excellent in a single skill. They would not try to become excellent in multiple skills, just one skill. And then once they had mastered that skill and people said, you know, you're pretty good at that, that would be their signal. Now, what's my next skill? And they would work on the next skill, take the next step and the next step. And they would just keep climbing the ladder of success. Now, if ever you stop climbing the ladder, do you know what happens is you level off and then you begin to decline because your existing skills become obsolete at a faster rate today than ever before. So you keep climbing the ladder. If you stop, other people who are climbing their ladders will go past you, and pretty soon you'll fall so far behind. It's like you're in a marathon. Let's say you're in a marathon with lots of runners and you decide, well, you're going to stop and you're just going to stroll for a while. You're just going to stroll for a while. You're just going to rest. You don't want to work too hard. And then you decide, well, I think I'll start running again. What happens? You never catch up because the other people just kept on running. They're so far ahead of you, you never catch up. Now, these seem like very simple explanations, but they do. They describe success versus failure. Now, here's the interesting thing. Life is very much like a marathon. We all start off with the same line. We're all ready to go, and we start running. Everybody's got pretty much the same abilities and the same opportunities. We go to the same schools, we go to the same colleges, and yet some people get way ahead. The masses stay in the middle, and some people fall so far behind they think they're first. And so why is this? Well, this has been studied for year after year, and we find this one single difference. Just the way you think. I was listening to somebody who grew up in a small town, and he was talking about this interesting point. He said he came from a poor family, and there were 3 families in that town that owned everything. They owned the mill, and they owned the factory, and they owned the general store, and they owned the shipping, and they owned the trucking, and they owned the agricultural processing. They owned everything, and these 3 families were rich. They had beautiful homes. Everybody revered them and talked about them. They were on the bank boards and everything else. And he went to school with the kids from these 3 families, and everybody wanted to be their friends, of course. You remember those days. And he found they're quite normal kids. They weren't very different from anybody else. But somehow, these families owned everything, and it was a real shock to him. It wasn't their education, because they weren't getting a better education than he was. It wasn't their grades, because the grades were the same. It certainly wasn't their physical attractions or anything else. It was just one thing. If they thought differently, they had an attitude of looking for opportunities and possibilities. And what we have found in a series of articles in INC magazine, they were interviewing people who'd become fabulously successful. Rags to riches stories. Every one of them said, the only reason I succeeded is because I developed the habit of always looking for the opportunity, always looking for something good or positive in what I was doing. Whereas other people, they have a setback, oh my God, and they go home and drink and watch television, and so on. But successful people are always looking for the opportunity. They think differently. So when you learn to think better, you make better decisions, you get better results. The law of cause and effect says that for every effect in your life, there's a cause. Everything happens for a reason, even if you don't know the reason. There's a reason. If somebody's practice is twice as large as somebody else's practice, it's not because of you or your genetics or your DNA or your chromosomes or anything else. It's just because they're doing something different. That's all. So what you do is, if you can define the effect that you want in your life, and then what you do is you trace it back to someone who at one time was earning less than you and who's now earning twice as much, and then you find out what they did. You come here and you ask Ed and his people, and they'll tell you. And then you do the same thing. You see, success leaves tracks. You just do the same thing and you get to the same place, which brings us to one of the great rules of success. If you do what other successful people do over and over again until it becomes a habit, nothing in the world can stop you from getting the same results that they do. And if you don't, nothing can help you. Now, this is a very important point to understand. All success skills are learnable. All practice development and management skills are learnable skills. All sales skills are learnable. All public relations skills are learnable. They're all physical and mental skills are learnable. You may not be able to play a classical violin or dunk baskets like Michael Jordan, but all business and sales and management skills are learnable skills. And so therefore you can learn any skill you need to learn in order to achieve any goal that you want. And once you understand that, for me, that happened to me when I was 23. The dam broke when I learned this law of cause and effect. I couldn't believe it. My God, you mean I could learn to be successful? So I'm going to teach you a go-forward word, and this is the word that you're going to use for the rest of your career. This is the word that will guarantee that you'll get onto the fast track in life. You'll increase your income at a more rapid rate than the average person, and you'll take complete control of your life. And the word is how. You want to double your income. The only question you ask is how. You want to double the number of patients coming to your practice? Question is how. You want to double your profitability? The question is how. You want to solve a problem? The question is how. Now, whenever you ask the question, how, which is what leaders do, leaders are all how people. How do we resolve this? What do we do? What is our next step? What's our action? Non-leaders, followers are passive people who go, oh my God, what's going to happen? What should we do now? They're like the little sheep running around in a circle, whereas the leaders say, all right, what's going on? Let's go. Let's make a decision. What's happened here? Get the information, and so on. Now, when you ask the question, how, it's like stepping on the accelerator of your own creative mind. You step in and it throws off ideas like those little lightning strikes in the cartoons or the light bulbs, and every idea is for an action that you can take right now. Whenever you ask the question, how, you get ideas, and the interesting thing is, they did a study at Harvard. They found that the greatest single predictor of success, especially financial success in life, is creativity. And creativity is determined by the number of ideas you come up with. And you'll find that the more ideas you come up with, because of the law of probabilities, the more likely it is you come up with a great idea. No matter what has happened in the past, the future is unlimited. It's only limited by your imagination. And here are my 3 predictions for you. Number 1, you are going to make more money in the future than you have ever made in your life before. The financial possibilities for you in the future are unlimited. Number 2, you're going to have greater happiness and success in the future than you have ever had in your life today. And number 3, your greatest achievements in life lie in the future. And the future is limited only by your own imagination. So there is no limit to what you can be and do in the future. Thank you.